Yo, what up, Nashville 3HL? 104.5 The Zone. It is NFL Draft Eve. At least the first round of the NFL Draft. Beautiful day in the Music City. Hope you're doing well, Brent
You know
Thornton.
I'm right.
You are.
Dawn Davenport.
Hi.
She's got her sleeveless vest on.
Yes. I work for you.
Oh, she started to do the wobble a little bit there.
Babs the wobble on you.
I got addicted to
And pumped.
something that Mandy Moore put on Instagram. It's the cast of This Is Us, which I don't watch that show anymore because it depresses the hell out of me every time. This is gone. Like, I haven't watched it in a few years.
I never
So
watched
maybe they're all happy and good things happen every episode now. But
Isn't it over?
I think this is the final season.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, well, they were doing a wedding episode, so Mandy Moore and the cast and everything, they were like, don't give us too much time between takes, so they did the wobble a bunch. But she put it on.
now.
Yeah, she put it out there, and I can't stop watching. It's weird what you get addicted to on the internet.
Oh, it's like, remember, who did I get addicted
it is
to?
weird.
Roger Saffold YouTube clips. Wasn't that it?
Oh,
Do you
when-
remember that
when they signed Roger
first
Saffold?
signed him? Yep.
What was he doing?
Playing football,
Like
dominating
flattening
people.
the hell
watching-
out of people.
Like, literally, they signed him, and then all night, that night, she watched Roger Saffold. We never even told him that. We should have told him that.
How did we never? I forgot
Come on,
about
Babs.
it.
You got to be
I
on
don't
the
know.
game.
I
I did it like all night until like 2:00 one morning. I like texted Brent and said, I'm still watching Roger Saffold.
Yeah,
clips."
he would have liked to have known that. Now he's in Buffalo.
I wouldn't
where-
have.
I mean,
Now you'll never get to tell him, Babsy.
Yeah, we'll never
He'll
hear from
be
him
back.
again. But yeah, so I mean, Logan Woodside knows how much you appreciate him.
No, I told him. We're going to get him on. We got to make sure we get Vrabel's approval there.
Cross T's, dot I's.
I was so pumped up about the Grizzlies come back win and start texting y'all about it, and then Slay's like, "That was the worst basketball game I've ever seen."
I mean, Slay was hardcore. No,
Hardcore.
I mean, literally said that was the worst playoff game in the history
Oh.
of basketball.
Well, I think he said 15 years.
Yeah, let's say 15 because I didn't want nobody to go back and look and find one in the 20th year.
Yeah.
You know?
you felt very good about
I
saying
did 15 though. Yeah, I'm spot on with
There
that.
might have
Yeah.
been a game when D. Brown pumped up his
Yeah.
shoes.
Right.
See, I don't know if anybody in that game was over 27 years old, so I really feel good about it, you know, so yeah. I just felt a certain way, man. It was just too sloppy, too it had okay, now let me tell you. First of all, so nobody's saying I'm hating.
Well, you watched the game differently than like we watched the game.
Right.
Like I watched it completely from a Grizz fan standpoint, like complete the comeback. I don't care how you do it.
Right.
You win the game. I don't care how you do it.
Right.
And boom, they win and you're euphoric because you don't want to go to Minnesota down 3-2.
No, you can't.
You can't.
You can't go there 3-2. Not like that. But
But you
dudes-
watch it from a different perspective.
Yeah, and it was exciting. Like as a fan of the game, like I'm watching it like, man, good energy. It wasn't like people were moping around or dragging. But man, when you look at it, man, when you run sets, like the playoff basketball, this is the type of game I wanted to see in the regular season.
This is a regular season.
You know
type
what I'm
game.
saying? Like it's
So
up
when
and down
you
the
said
floor.
that, that's what I thought
Yeah.
immediately was like, this looked like a regular season
Yep.
game. You're right.
But why?
Because one, the game slows down in the playoffs. The
Okay.
game is never up and down, up and down, up and down.
Because they actually play more defense?
Yeah, they actually play more defense and they
you run
key in
more
on the
sets.
guys and you run in sets, you know, because
Okay.
so what in regular season, what they would do is we'll find a matchup. Babs, you got the hot hand. We're going to keep giving you the ball over and over. Go to work, Babs. You'll have 70. It's cool. Everybody's fine with it. In the playoffs, Babs get 5. We finna adjust everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, you got to start running sets. Now, what you'll do in the playoffs, you'll run a set over and over and over and over because you keep getting the look you want. Whether that's going to Babs right there down low and Mayer's out there on the wing, they know they're going to double you, so we're going to make them double every time. Kick it to you, Mayer, you got to make the shot. That's what we're going to live
I'm
by
going
on
to make the
defense.
shot, and I will be in the wing.
See,
I ain't going anywhere.
See what I'm saying.
I know
His
So-
foot will be on the
Yeah,
line.
that's the
but,
thing.
you know.
And then defensively, like exactly.
That's an old show joke.
It was too much stuff lost. You know what I mean? Ja didn't play good defense early in the first 3 quarters till they woke him up. Minnesota, exact same thing. And you attribute that to coaching and the youth of it, you know, the experience. It's just 2 young teams outside of a guy like Patrick Beverly or something. But you did get to see, which I was loving, at the end of the game when Minnesota had to draw up a play, an out-of-bounds play, and people keep saying, man, how did Ant-Man get that shot over there in the corner wide open? That was a beautifully drawn up play. Like on my chat, And my partners
executed very
great. Because, man, that was it.
The broadcast team did a great job explaining, Brevin Knight, I guess. He said, look at this false step into the lane. That's what kept him there.
That's the guard. That's the basketball guard explaining it. And then anybody else sees the guy come off open. And he's like, man, why the little guy not going to shoot the ball? Because he's running the play. And he did a direct bounce pass, a two-hand bounce pass to the corner with a great screen. So that was beautiful. And then you come back on the other end, and this shows the inexperience of the game, in its entirety. Anthony, what's Ant-Man's last name?
Edwards.
Towns.
Anthony Edwards.
That one.
Anthony Edwards, he does.
Because it's the star from ER.
Yeah.
That's how I knew that.
He's on that cat.
Yeah.
No, definitely not him. But he's a problem too. But Anthony Edwards got the shot, and it shows you how you can make them pay attention to detail, then get on the opposite end, and that quick, being that young, you can lose the discipline and the focus, what you have to do. Everybody knows on the down screen, you either lock and trail or you can shoot the gap. He did neither. He followed John Morant after the down screen in the paint, followed him around and tried to steal the ball from behind, giving a direct line to a drive to create a 2-on-1. If anything, you make him catch the ball in front, take a couple dribbles, throw up a wild shot, and you live with the results. Don't give him a 2-on-1 layup. This guy, out of all people, you don't want him jumping in there to make no decisions.
I mean, we were
so
talking
that's
about
just inexperience.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And that's not being able to laser focus in.
And I'm watching a game with my 11-year-old and my 15-year-old, and you had time to kind of talk through it, and we all were like, I mean, you get Morant into the lane where he can dish it or go to the rim.
It's over. Look at his last bucket.
And we
outside.
do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not trailing him.
Why?
Are you kidding me?
Outside of the tip out three that John Morant hit, everything other bucket was in the lane. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing? Get this man out the lane. And my MVP, a person that played the game right, Brandon Clark. Lord,
BC, baby.
Have mercy.
That's a dog right there.
On both ends. Lord,
Can't shoot a free throw to save his life, but.
See, and that's the thing. Kids, watch that. Like, that man know he wasn't getting no offensive sets ran from him. It was going to be for Bane or Morant or maybe Dylan Brooks when he just took the ball and did something wild. But Brandon Clark, man.
Which was often.
He was getting tip out rebounds. He kept so many balls alive, man, getting offensive rebounds. I forgot my watch today.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll dig further into the Grizz win. That was a huge win for them. John Morant with 18, which matched a career high in the fourth quarter. As he almost messed around and got a triple-double again.
Almost.
Preds clinch with a shootout loss and overtime loss and a shootout loss from Vegas. And so they get in. Now everybody's watching UC Soros. They call up a goaltender from Milwaukee. Juice will miss the last two games of the regular season, and then my guess is he'll be ready to go game one. But
I hope so.
He's got to.
I'm nervous.
I'm telling you. All right, and the big news that just came down right before we began the show, the Titans announced that they have picked up, no surprise here, but they have done it, picked up Jeffrey Simmons' fifth-year option. So his salary in 2023 will be $10.7 million. I mean, think about the destruction level of that dude, and you've got him for 10.7.
Loving it.
Because in 2024, all things being equal, and God willing, no injury, Big Jeff gonna get freaking paid.
And I mean quickly, too. It'll be quickly.
Hopefully he can manage on the 10.7.
Man, can I just tell John Robinson, hey, listen, start passing around the collection plate right now in the community of Nashville and all of Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm going to put something in it.
Can we charge the Woo Girls again?
Man, come on, man.
Oh, my God.
That boy, don't you let that man go nowhere. Man, forget that.
Woo Girls are about to finance everything in Nashville.
I mean, just throw 1% on the Woo Girls like every time you need something.
Let's roll.
Don't price the Woo Girls out now.
We need
them. Woo Girls.
We'll need to run away.
Need Jeffrey's contract?
Woo Girls.
Woo Girl.
Need to fix schools? Woo Girls. I mean, anything you need, just go ahead and charge them.
Potholes on 65.
I just saw 3 back-to-back party bus things.
Yeah,
various kinds. 4 actually, various kinds of them. While I was coming up toward here.
And there's a certain mile per hour they can go on.
Yeah, and if you honk, they have to scream. And
yeah, hello. Oh, boy. Hey, I'll pull up right beside you, boy. If you're a Woo Girl out there, that's me in the silver truck. Just keep on honking over and over and over. They probably tired of wooing. I'm gonna test your stamina as a Woo Girl. You're a real Woo Girl. You ought to be able to go 6 woos in a row. Can't do it? Get up off of there. We got to go.
We got another woo girl.
Yeah,
We're ready.
we got somebody ready. Come on.
She's standing right
next
there.
Next woo girl. You got your white boots? Let's roll. Let's get it.
Coach Mac coming up next. 3 John 1045 The Zone. 3 John 1045 The Zone. Babs talking crazy up in here.
That'd be a, hey, man. Man, Babs gonna get Mom of the Year. I'm telling you that right now, but go ahead, man.
What was the player that we wanted to bubble wrap? Remember that? We just wanted to put bubble wrap on the player so he wouldn't get hurt. I forget who that was, but
Oh, yeah.
she wanted to put an electric fence on Hadley.
With a collar?
Like,
Well, I just asked to keep her away from the pool to protect her from the pool.
let's put an electric fence on her. She gets
Yes.
buzzed every time she goes. So it's like a collar for a dog.
The dogs have one.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt the dog. It just gives it a little pinch. It's no
Right.
big deal.
It's just-
See?
This is where we are, Coach Mac. Welcome in.
Hi, Coach Mac.
Don't put a collar, please. Don't do that. I
Put a
had collars
collar on
my
that.
dogs. I've also had my cattle hit electric fence. Don't do it.
Don't do the electric fence at all. That's your advice, right? For the dogs?
No, it's fine for the dogs because you can turn it down on the dogs. You can turn it down on the dogs because they figure it out real quick. Believe me.
But like an actual baby girl might not be a good idea.
No, please not on Hadley. I don't want any electric neck braces on Hadley.
Just so everybody knows, I was kidding. Hopefully nobody out there thinks I'm serious.
Oh, man. We're very, very serious about anything. Coach Mac, welcome in. Day before the draft. So what's going on at all these NFL facilities today, you think?
No, I tell you what they're doing is they're checking draft day phone numbers to be sure they've got exactly the number and where you're going to be. Because, that's important, because when you get down to it and you start being on the clock, everything is done by the minute, and it starts boiling down to a second. And if you don't have somebody on the clock, you won't turn that card in, because you just can't do it. So that's something that for our listeners, a little behind the scenes, that you check and double check that. And, about 3 minutes out, if you make your pick, then you're going to say, have we got them on the phone? You double check, are they on the phone? And you got somebody standing there with them on the phone. Then you tell your people in Vegas this year, turn it in. That has to be like that.
Have you ever had a guy you couldn't find?
Man, that's what I was going to say, boy.
That you were trying to draft?
We've never had one we couldn't find. We had one we had a hard time convincing that we had drafted him with Mark Mariani.
Really?
Mariani kept cussing us on the phone. He was cussing Brandon Fisher because they played together. So we said, "Hey, you call it." Well, of course, Brandon had been calling him previously, and finally Mark Mariani said, "Look, I'm on the edge now. I'm about to go over the edge. Don't call me anymore." So he calls and tells him, "Hey, Titans going to draft you in 7th round." So he starts cussing at him. We got him on the speakerphone, and he's MFing him up and down the line. And finally, Brandon says, "Here, you know what? I'll just let you talk to the head coach." And so the fish gets on there and goes, "Mark." And he goes, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." I think he's still traumatized over that.
We need to get Mark. We need to call Mark, get him to tell that story from his perspective. It's so funny.
So funny.
I mean,
that was a hell of a 7th round pick, too, by the way.
Yeah, all pro.
Let me tell you something. I can tell you exactly how that went down because, that year they were a good team. Mariani and Brandon Fisher and those guys, they went to the national championship twice, and they could play. And so, Fish and I would fly to go watch them play. We went down to Chattanooga, watched them play both championship games. So we knew those guys. And every time we would watch it, we would say, this Mariani kid, if he can't do anything else in the league, he'll return kicks for us. He was fearless. And you know what else he was? He was an instant accelerator. This guy was a good athlete, but look, he was not scared. He would go over the middle, and they would spin it to him, and he'd bounce off of them. And, they were a high-flying offense, and he was a huge, huge part of it. And so, and Fish, we talked about it when he was getting ready to draft and said, look, people are going to say it's because he played with my son, but I'm telling you, this guy can play. And, of course, some of that narrative came out. And then all Mark Mariani did was go to the Pro Bowl his rookie year, so thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And set a record.
Yeah.
He returned like 35 punts that day.
I mean,
and kickoffs. I think it was more kickoffs.
It's tough.
He helped us win a lot of games. I'll never forget that game we won down there in Dallas with that kickoff return he had. That was one of the best ones ever.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you,
Yeah.
Could that be misleading a little bit? Because if you got to get all these guys' numbers, make sure somebody's there. You ever had to run into any of these guys and they'd be like, hey, Coach Mack, man, y'all call me and ask me, man, did I have the right number? Was I on standby? And y'all didn't even call me. Y'all didn't even draft me. So is it for more than that? Is it for after the draft as well to try to get that call in to get them in?
Very relevant question. Yes, it's for everything. You want to be sure because one of the biggest parts of the draft, of course, the draft is exciting within itself. I mean,
Right.
We just had a big draft meeting today up there in Rhett's studio with myself, Mike Keith, and Ramon and Rhett Bryant, for quite a while getting down. Mike Keith was laying out the program we're going to use. And it's no shocker that Mike Keith knows how to put together a radio program, basically a draft program. So, I mean, we're ready to go. But it's the same way with these phone numbers. Look, one of the biggest things that goes on that behind the scenes that people really don't know that I'm getting ready to tell them is, guys, one of the most stressful times is the free agency period of the draft, because that is the Wild West. In the draft, at least you can select them. And then and so it's really, really important because it's very, very competitive. It's kind of like the whole NIL deal, transfer portal thing is right now. So yes, you have to have them. And the other thing too that helps, and you can relate to this, Ron, I think everybody can. If you've talked to a team for a while or talked to one of their scouts or talked to one of their assistant coaches and you're a player throughout the draft, whether they take you or not, if you're not drafted, that familiarity and just those contacts sometimes help.
Yep. Very true.
So does that dictate sometimes the last pick or two, based on like how much traffic there is for that guy you think, at least that you think there will be in free agency? So you go ahead and pick him in the 7th round?
Brent, another great question. You guys are on it today, and you've been on it since the golf tournament when you got your trophy. I mean, you guys have been on it.
I mean, well, we stepped up in life right then. I mean, that was a big moment.
You guys, I was so honored to be able to hand out the awards, and I was really honored to be able to hand out y'all's trophy. And really, Ron, you made an eloquent speech. You really did.
Thank you, Coach Mack.
Your acceptance speech was really, really eloquent.
I appreciate that.
It was the only acceptance speech. I forgot that he did that.
Yes, it was. No, he was the only guy that grabbed the mic, and it was completely appropriate.
The guys that won the tournament didn't say anything.
Well, they didn't get to say a word.
Shout out TriStar Beverage.
I love the fact that Ron Slay gave a great acceptance speech, and I'm really impressed with the group that for 6 years in a row has got the Dead Ass Last Award. They impressed me too.
Well, I mean, that's Macho Man Titan.
Macho Man Titan. I mean, they were proud of it. I love the trophy. I want one of those trophies with that donkey kicking up his heels with his ass moving. I want that. And the other thing that was so great about the whole thing was, as everything was being handed out, Ron Slay had a comment about every group.
Yeah. When you walk in there fried off the course like that, Coach, you're gonna have a comment for everybody now. You got to know that.
And you know what I really liked? All the action shots that they took of all the golfers. They were showing, people putting, people, swinging. It was really good. And then you were shotgunning a beer.
Yep.
Represent the radio station right there.
Yes. So
all right,
proud.
let's get back.
Let's offer this up though. One time he shotgunned a beer in Brett Kern's backswing and finished it before Brett hit the ball.
That's a talent.
Impressive.
That's a talent, Coach.
That's impressive. Here's what else is impressive. Look, Kern has punted with dudes coming at him to hit him. That didn't bother his back.
Nope. Didn't even phase him.
All right, so did you used to take guys in the 7th round because you didn't think there would be too much demand for that player in free agency after?
Brent, 100%. That's an insightful ask, and the answer is yes. Absolutely yes. There are two things that you weigh against that. First of all, you look at your roster because you're constantly updating your roster on a board. You know, you have your roster board. You're constantly updating it, saying how many people you want to take to camp. Okay, because with 90, so how many of your numbers are? Where are our numbers? How many free agents are we going to have to get? And then who are our A free agents? And if you have an A free agent sitting there and it starts getting down to it, and you think that if you don't draft him, that you might get into a Wild West show with him, you absolutely take him. That happens. Yes.
That's interesting. Coach Mack with us, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans.
So, Coach Mack, I this morning went through a bunch of the mock drafts and just to kind of see where people are projecting the Titans to be. And one thing that surprised me was that there were a couple out there that had linebacker Devin Lloyd from Utah headed to the Titans. Just want your thoughts on that. I just look at, and I know this is the decade-old question of, do you draft for need? Do you draft best player available on the board regardless of position? I understand all that, and it probably changes for teams per year. But I just want your take on that mock draft that I've seen quite a bit of on Lloyd.
Well, here's my take. First of all, Devin Lloyd, I really like. I think he's the best behind the ball backer in this draft. He and Nakobe Dean will probably vie for that spot, but Nakobe Dean is a completely different type of player than Devin Lloyd. So would he deserve a lower first round draft pick? Absolutely. But to me, I think that the Titans' priorities, depending on what happens ahead of them, would be with either the offensive line or at receiver at that point, in my humble opinion. You know, because I think you can get a linebacker, maybe not of Devin Lloyd's ilk, but they've gotten some pretty good linebackers in the third, fourth, and fifth round. You know, with this John Robinson and his crew's been drafting, since they've been doing it, that we've had here. So that would surprise me a little bit, Don. It really would.
I'm curious, Coach Mack.
I agree.
we hear lots of things as we get closer to the draft, obviously, and one of them. Right. One of them, the last few days, is that people are saying, well, there are only 14 first-round grades, or, some teams have no more than 15 players with first-round grades. Do you do it that way?
That may be true for some people. Hey guys, this board this year is going to be so different in 30. It always is in 32 different cities. But let me just give you a little something that we will bring up tomorrow when we start the draft. But there are 8 teams, right, that have 2 number 1 picks. But on the conversely, there are 8 teams that have no number 1 pick. And the other thing that you've got to think about when you're looking at this draft is how many first-year head coaches and GMs there are, and really how many second-year head coaches and GMs there are that really don't have a draft history nor track record. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be very, very different. This draft is, I think, and it's going to be all over the board. So, just because somebody is not on somebody's board as a number 1 doesn't mean that you have graded them incorrectly. You just graded them like that for your place. And so to me, that doesn't surprise me, though. It really doesn't. I think a lot of that talk, Brent, is coming from the fact that there are no definite number 1, true number 1, as far as whether it would grade out, just standing alone quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah.
And this is a big man draft. It is. It's a big man draft offensively. It's a big man draft defensively. It's a receiver draft, and it's a corner draft. When you start talking about depth throughout this draft, and so that never does surprise me. Since I've been done with coaching, now that I can talk to a lot of people in the business about things, and they'll tell me it's amazing the disparity in draft boards when you really start talking to people that are deeply involved with it.
Now, is it so? If the guys that go undrafted, we watch it as a fan, and you see the draft, and once the draft is over, it's like, all right, cool. The draft continues to go for these NFL teams, right? Because it's a scramble, especially in a draft like this where it's after the top 10 is kind of like wide open, so you have a lot of guys that you're trying to get in. And how quick does that happen, Coach Mack, as far as reaching out to these guys and getting them locked in? Because like you said, it does turn into the Wild Wild West. This coming from an undrafted guy, I know how many people were hitting the phone in basketball. So in football, I can only imagine.
No, immediately. You're immediately on them. And I tell you what you do too. Starting about the 6th round, you divide your. I'll tell you what goes on. You divide your scouting staff and your coaching staff up into teams. Right. And normally you'll assign a scout to work with a position coach, saying here's our 6 guys. This is A group, B group, C group, and you've got your money for the A group, B group, C group. Everybody's got the same amount of money, the same pool, okay, money-wise for free agents. But for these A players, we'll go up as high as 25,000 bonus. For Bs, maybe 15. For Cs, it's 10. Here's our ABCs. Let's go to work on them. And you go to work on them positionally, okay? And then you have somebody that's keeping the master board up there, and they'll come in and say, we got Ron Slay, A, done, 25 grand, gone, all right, next. And so as you're working, you're not only working against other people calling, you're also working against what's going up on your board. Because when and finally you'll hear it from the guy running the board say, hey, look, no more A players, no more A players because we're done with that. And plus, once you get down to where guys are holding out, then people start, overspending for them and cheating themselves on the back end. But it's a process. It is a real process, and it's very well organized. It's the Wild West in the fact that everybody can call,
right?
But it's a very organized process that has a lot of thought that goes into it before the draft hits. But once you start in, it's all hands on deck. Believe me, as a head coach, as a coordinator, you're handling 4 or 5 different phone calls at once, trying to close deals with agents and with kids.
Right.
Coach Mack with us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. It's interesting. You always talk about there's 2 different drafts, the quarterback draft and the rest of the draft. And the rest of the draft is affected by that quarterback draft, right? And it's interesting. Now we keep seeing reports that there may not be a quarterback go until 20 to Pittsburgh. Now, if there are 14, 15 true first round guys and everybody's trying to move back and it becomes very difficult to do that, the Titans may be in a good position, right? If quarterback 1 doesn't go until 20, because then if you do want to move back, right, Coach Mack, you could sell people on the idea that you might take a quarterback.
Well, the other thing that you do as the draft unfolds, see all of these scenarios, and again, some of them seem far-fetched, but I've had some strange stuff go on with drafts that I've been involved in, over my years. Like you're going, when somebody's picked, all of a sudden you're drafting, you go, what the what, and so that flips your switch a little bit. So yeah, anything can happen, but to me, I think again, as I said, one of the biggest things in this draft that's going to make it very unusual is the 8 teams with 2 picks in the first round and 8 teams with no first-round picks, because that makes a difference as to how those players are going to fall off the board. Quarterbacks are always a separate entity, and you're not going to move up to take a quarterback unless you have to have one. That's just the way it is. But this draft is structured so much differently than the one that we even experienced last year when those quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3. This is different, and to me, it's going to be very, very because the belly of this draft. There are some good players. We've gone over it in the weeks going up, to it. You guys have done extensive work on it. There's some good players in the belly of the draft, and really, that's where your team is made, is the belly of the draft. People think that Les Snead at the Rams just said F all these picks and just won a Super Bowl. Well, that's not really what happened. He traded first round picks for premier players and traded away first-round picks, but he also he's had 45 picks in the middle rounds in 5 years. And they've done a good job of identifying those guys, but what they've done is taken their first-round pick and traded that with a lot of money for premier players that were free agents in this league.
Coach Mack with us on 3HL. Coach Mack, there is a guy that we have fallen in love with as a show that's probably more of a 3rd-round wide receiver. And when I was driving in yesterday, I heard Blaine and Mickey ask you about Calvin Austin III. And so we had him on the show yesterday and played played your evaluation of him to him.
What do you think?
We're going to play it for you. But for those that didn't hear it, Coach Mack said slot guy, size is what the size is, fast, 4.32, that's his thing, can go after the ball, all of these things. So we played that for him. This is what he said.
Yeah, that's very fair. That's something that I'm definitely agree with, just from a standpoint of, obviously the size is the size. It is the size.
Right.
I feel like the things that I can do, just with ball skills, punt return, kick return, deep balls, screens, I feel like that's just like better. Just shows my versatility and how I'll be able to overcome the height factor.
We fell in love with that kid yesterday. I mean, the guy turned down Ivy League football opportunities to go to Memphis because he grew up a Memphis fan.
Let me say this. Coach Mack is saying this right now in 3HL. That kid's going to play in the league. That kid's going to play in the league. He's got juju to him. He's got juju to him, and he's an instant get when that ball is in his hands. Now he's overcome this size thing his whole life, right?
Right.
And he's got that go gadget roadrunner speed that you just can't manufacture. But he's good with the ball in his hands, and he goes after it. He's a tough guy. I've talked to receiver coaches about him. I talked to a lot of receiver coaches at the combine because I always, sit with the and go in the boxes and sit with all the position coaches. And the thing they like about this kid too is he's really smart. He's extremely smart, and he's competitive. I like the dude. I really do. And I'm glad that he likes Coach Mack's evaluation.
Yes, he thought that was fair. Coach Mack, always great talking with you. Thank you very much. We look forward to the draft coverage coming up Thursday and Friday night.
Showtime, Coach.
Always a pleasure, guys. Hey, no shock collar. See you.
Snort one for slack.
That may count as multiple snorts.
Yeah, that was full on it. Clear out the nasal cavity there. Coach Mack presented by Farm Bureau Health Plan. Here is what's going to happen in the next segment. We heard Mark Mariani's draft story from the Titan perspective. We'll hear it from Mark Mariani's perspective next. 3HL 1045. 3HL 1045, the Zone Gary on Twitter at 3HL 1045. I'm hoping Joe Hunt plays Holla Back Girl coming back in.
Taking requests.
We were talking about the woo girls, and Slade said he likes to mess with them by honking the horn and making them woo over and over and over again. If they can't do it, get somebody else.
Yeah, they got 6. You got to have a 6 limit. 6. You got to be able to go 6 woos in a row. Can't get your 6 woos in a row.
There's another woo girl just standing there ready. She's ready.
Right there at the score table. Yeah, you got to have 6 of them. Woo, 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 woo.
Mariani deals with this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
In downtown Nashville. Mark, what's up? How are you?
6 in a row, Slade?
Yeah, man.
What to ask for? Holy, that's a lot of woo in one.
Yeah, but you got to be in the moment, Mark. You know what I mean? At that time when the honks are coming, you don't know when they coming. They could all come in a row. Honk, 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 honk. You like woo, 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 woo. You know what I mean? You got to be ready to roll, Mark. It's prime time real estate down here for the woo girls.
That's right. If you're getting pulled around on a tractor trailer, you got to be ready to woo.
Hey, I'll tell you this, Mark. One day you're not going to know when it's going to happen. Me and Slade going to camp out down by your house.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just going to wait till they roll by, and then we're going to let it rip.
You guys would look good on the back of one of those fifth wheelers, man. You guys would look good on those things.
Hey, so
that's awesome. Yeah, that is my neck of the woods, man. Those are my people down there.
Those are your people, the woo girls. They come in town, they leave. It's the best. It's the best.
That's right.
I talked to a buddy of mine. He lived in downtown Memphis. He was single at the time, and he was like, "That's the best thing, man." They come in town, they leave.
Hey, back out.
No drama.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. That's all it is.
Hey,
no drama. Ever just fake names. Yeah.
Nothing's real. Mark Mariani with us on 3HL at Mark Mariani 80 on Twitter. We like to call him Moonshine. And hey, Coach Mack. The reason why we called you is Coach Mack he said sometimes weird things happen in the draft, and he told your story about how you cussed everybody out on the speakerphone in the Titans draft war room because you thought Brandon Fisher, your former teammate, was playing a joke on you. So we called you to get your perspective of that story. Is that true? And how that went down?
Well, yeah. I think the first impression I kind of blew that one, but truth is, so here's how it all played out. It was a long day, man. It was a long day. I had a graduation/draft day party, and everyone was exhausted and had left me besides my parents. Like it was like, oh my God, bro, you ain't getting drafted, bro. We're leaving this party. We got stuff to do. So it had already been a long day. It had already been a long day. Not to mention, they drafted Damian Williams in the 3rd round.
Right.
So I was like, they were off my board. But anyway, our buddy Shan Schillinger gets drafted in the 6th round, and we're on some group threads going, "Hey, congrats, man! What's up? Hey, Marianne, how you feeling?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm tripping out. If you want to know the truth, I'm absolutely tripping out." We get into the 7th round, and
had people already started calling you about like free agency after the draft, stuff like that?
Yeah, and that's what it was. My phone was blowing up off the hook, so I had nonstop unknown numbers coming in, and every time my heart dropped, and I was like, oh my god, dude, like, this is it, bro, this is gonna be the one. And then it was like, hey man, we don't have any picks left, but once this draft's over, I'm like, just, oh man, I had like 10 or 12 of those in like a 40-minute span. Anyway, I had talked to Brandon after our buddy got drafted, and I was like, bro, this is wearing me out, this is killing me. He's like, oh, just, kind of like, whatever. Keep, stay, keep your expectations up. Something's going to happen, whatever. So he knew, I'd already told him.
He knew, yeah.
I was already tripping out. Well, then here's what happened. So he checks in with me, I think it was via text, and he says, how's it going? And I was actually like, bro, Dallas has a pick left, man. I think it's happening. And so there was all this build up. So then he calls me. And he calls me back, and this is like the 3rd time I'd talked to him, and he goes, dude, you're going to be a Tennessee Titan. And I'm like, you mother... Beep, beep. No, it's not the time.
To play around.
Beep, beep, beep. And he was like, dude, I'm not kidding, bro. Because Dallas was coming up in like 2 picks. They had called me, and they picked me like 2 picks in front of them. And I was like, bro... and I'm just cussing him out like we were at, late night at the college bar and, whatever, he stole my drink. And all of a sudden he goes, no, here, I'll just hand the phone off or whatever, here's Papa Fish. And he was like, and of course, Coach was like, hey man, yeah, you're on speaker, here's Mr. Reinfeld and Rustin and the whole scouting department. And I was like, oh, my God, dude. That is how I'm going to get drafted. And so, anyway, pick 222 after probably 9 hours of watching the tube during a commercial break on the draft coverage. Your boy got his name called, and Brandon called me and told me. So we still laughed about that one. But, yeah, it was I still didn't believe him, even when Coach was on the phone, but it was pretty awesome. And then the next call was Jared Puffer, and he was like, wow, that was something I'm not used to seeing. I'm like, yeah, I really screwed that one up.
Puff works media relations with the Titans, for those that don't know, yes.
He's getting more information, and I was like, yeah, my dad just handed me a Crown Royal shot, and I'm celebrating now. And he's like, yeah, we're going to leave that on the press release as well. I'm like, okay, this isn't going so well, man. So anyway, just me and my parents were left in the room, and we enjoyed ourselves. And T22, man, that's how it happened. And Coach Mack, it's all Coach Mack's fault, man. All of this shenanigans we've all been through.
You cursed out the entire Titans organization in one swoop.
Speaker phone call.
Yeah,
welcome to the organization. Thank God Bud wasn't in there.
Oh my!
He might have liked you more.
He would have been okay with that.
Yeah, he goes double birds, man.
You're right. You're right. I might have been on his good side after that.
So what did you do that night to celebrate?
Oh, dude, I'm dead serious about that. It was when I got, so I mean, my dad was locked and loaded, like, because we had gotten all these unknown phone calls. He was ready. But so halfway through the phone call, he's hit me with a shot of Crown Royal, the gold bag. I don't even know what that one is, but the nicer stuff than I was drinking previously, and that's how we celebrated, man. And Missoula got turned upside down for a bit, and then that was it, man. But just the work started, I guess. I got down to Nashville, and Nashville was the biggest city this Montana boy had ever seen in his life. I was like, oh my God. Check out all these watering holes, dude. We got Midtown, we got downtown, we got all these options. This is the greatest ever. So,
and look at it now.
Right in.
I know, and you never left except for that little side trip to Chicago there for a minute. But hey,
you guys are stuck with me.
We appreciate you hopping on just short notice. We just wanted to get that draft story from both sides.
No, I love it. Draft weekend always brings up good memories. I appreciate you guys. You guys have an awesome weekend. We'll talk soon.
There he is.
Mark.
See you, Mark.
222.
Yeah, that was dope.
Dad was locked and loaded.
He was ready to roll, baby. Just give me that look.
Here's a shot of Crown from the gold bag.
Yeah. As a special reserve, man.
Oh, man. All right, 4 o'clock hour coming up, 3HL 1045 The Zone.